then when you're ready to get off of the mute.
So,
Okay.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi everyone, it's Enoch Miller, your Empress of West Hollywood here for another episode of Holding Court with the Empress of WeHo. We want to thank our amazing producers here for GayLifeLA.com, as also for Kings Road Apartments for allowing us to use this beautiful space and have the amazing view you see behind us. And we want to thank our amazing special guest for being here, Wendy Ho.
Hi.
We're so happy to have you here.
I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
And it's so exciting because if you don't know this woman's career, holy fucking shit, it is extensive, and you've just been doing so much to really support the LGBT community and kind of who we are. And I mean, we look at you as our queen icon for straight women, so we absolutely love you. So we'll kind of start at the very beginning for little Miss Wendy in Toledo, Ohio. Mm-hmm. And so when did you originally move from out, like it was obviously after college because you went to Missouri, MSU for college. Mm-hmm. When did you move out to the East Coast and start doing a lot of stuff out there?
Well, after college, I went to Chicago first because I was a little bit afraid of New York City. I was like, I don't really know if I could do all this. And I was in Kansas City, which, you know, to me at that time, I was like, oh, this is metropolitan. I'm exposed to art and culture and things. But I wanted to get away from my home, from my mom and dad. So I went to Chicago, and I got there, and I just quickly learned that really a life with musical theater and comedy and, you know, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what to focus on there. But it was obvious to me that life was going to be harder there than it was in New York. Because New York was a lot easier to get around, like just subway-wise, and not having to have a car and all those things. So that's really what the decision process was. It was like, okay, I'm too scared to go to New York. So I went to Chicago, and then I visited New York while I was living in Chicago, and I was like, bye.
Gotcha. And so as music really, I mean, it's pretty much been a whole part of your career and your life of being a performance person. Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of the things I've seen in bios that people have done with you of like, you're just a little performer from the get-go. What really kind of inspired you to go towards like the theater and musical theater and actual like doing performance stuff? What was there an initial inspiration for you that you wanted to be a performer?
Well, I think like for a lot of kids, just when you are a performer and you don't have to be yourself anymore.
Gotcha.
So it's just like a very exciting thing to be so involved in the pretend life.
Got it.
That you're kind of escaping your own because, you know, like when you're growing up, things are awkward. It's, you know, I mean, at least for me it was, you know, and it wasn't a charmed childhood, so I had to make things up in my head that were charming to me. Fun. You know, and then theater just kind of was the natural landing pad for all of that.
So it gave you that perfect outlet to kind of really express your creative side.
Yeah, and a lot of that too, I think, like with pop music and who I was attracted to at the time growing up, just was about like me not knowing how to really express my own feelings as a child.
Gotcha.
I mean, like, but that's what I feel.
Is there anyone
Madonna.
specific? Okay, so like Madonna.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Was there any other male influences that kind of inspired? Because you have a very eclectic look as Wendy Ho. It's very fun, flamboyant, very, I can definitely see Madonna. I see a little bit of like David Bowie in there, some Prince every now and then when you get a little frisky. So what would you say musically inspired you? Because your music is very tongue-in-cheek, very fun, but also you have kind of that like Pink, Christina Aguilera, that tone that like it's not quite this like beautiful Celine Dion polished like crazy shit. It is fun and like it makes people like, oh, this is a natural woman and I can get on board with her.
Right.
Was there anyone kind of that really inspired you in the beginning like that?
Well, when I was in 6th grade, and I think I've said this before, but like I went and saw the movie Beaches, and like I was like, that's me. That's who I am. I am Cece Bloom. Like, and I had no idea that, you know, an option to perform in that way even existed.
Gotcha.
You know, really, I was just like, and I was obsessed with it. So I took that soundtrack home and I memorized the entire thing, and I would do it
just
all the time.
Just running around and being like...
So being exposed to that, and then I think maybe a little bit later, my mom and dad, you know, the first like real rated R movie I'd ever seen was Best Little Whorehouse in Texas.
Oh my gosh.
So seeing Dolly as the madam, and like that for me was...
And she's the queen of twang, like that unique voice. Like you, when you hear, I mean, honestly, when you hear your voice, you know it's Wendy Ho.
Right.
It's like you hear these voices, you know explicitly. Oh, you're not confusing it with some 4 other female artists. You know it's you and your sound and how your persona is put out there. Kind of talk about when you were in New York and started to do straight comedy clubs. Kind of talk about the transition from doing stuff with there to actually doing stuff with the gay scene, the gay nightlife scene.
Well, as a theater person in university and just all throughout my life, really, like, I had always had gay friends.
Okay.
You know, so I was always around gay men.
Gotcha.
And I just, you know, those were my people. We laughed at the same shit. We just found a common ground with one another.
Gotcha.
And, you know, I mean, people do make that joke a lot of, oh, I'm a gay man trapped in a woman's body, but I really fucking am, which means I was really promiscuous, I like to drink, and I like to have a good time.
Which is why
and I'm
we
pretty
love
much willing to do anything for a laugh, you know? And so it was very much in that kind of vein that I continued to find them, you know, do theater with them. We'd be backstage. We'd be, you know, laughing, you know, always about the inside jokes.
Gotcha.
You know, and the theater songs that I was doing then were legit character actress things, but we would always make up other versions.
Okay, so put your own spin to it all.
Right, and so really Wendy Ho came out of Wendy Jo Smith, the theater actress. The trick she would do at the parties after the show or in between the show, you know, like in between scenes, it was just jokes. I never.
So it was always something you were doing as like kind of a for the little shits and giggles.
I was saying the entertainers.
Gotcha.
I didn't really have my sights on anything professional.
So talk about that first party you did as Wendy Ho. That really kind of everyone was like they ate it up and they were just like, oh my god, I want you to start doing this more as professionally and start doing more of that stuff that being Wendy Ho like full time as a career.
Well, I mean, that, like, just kind of happened organically because people just kept clamoring for it. Like, I started doing it in college. You know, I wrote raps about teachers and some people on campus that, like, everybody knew. They were notorious people, and we would laugh about this. And so, you know, my friend in college gave me the nickname Wendy Ho.
Okay.
And from then on, it just continued to follow me, like, when I would do a show.
Gotcha.
Or, you know, even summer stock. And I can remember one time I pulled up to the summer stock rehearsal, and I heard these kids talking before rehearsal. I was like, oh my God, I cannot wait to show them who I really am because they're going to die. Like, I knew that I was going to be at home because we were all talking like that. We were all laughing. You know, and so and it just continued to evolve. And I think, you know, the big party that it was shown to me where I was like, oh no, this is legitimate, that I could do this as a career, was in New York at my friend's house. He had like a big, like, off-Broadway show opening, and there were all these people there, and he was like, I want you to perform. And I was like, really? Right now in front of all these people, like, names and things.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, let's do it.
You're like, the gigs.
Yeah. So I did, and, like, from that party, like, there were bookings offered from there.
Gotcha.
But it was still, you know, evolving, and still, I was looking for a home. I was like, I don't know where I can perform this shit. And somebody was like, you need to just do it in comedy clubs.
Gotcha.
So I started doing it in comedy clubs, and then that portion kind of just died out because I wasn't able to make a living doing it.
Gotcha.
Because they don't pay you.
They don't, no.
They'll pay you in comedy clubs in New York or LA unless you have a really big name and you're going to bring in the people, you know. And at that point, I wasn't there yet. You know?
Okay.
So getting paid, you know, just to bridge the gap between working the temporary jobs and, you know,
and then actually being
paid. And you know, and I went in and I asked for, you know, on one of my first gigs for a raise because I knew I was making the guy more money. I knew I was bringing more people in than what he was paying me for. And he was like, you just started like 6 months ago, you're crazy, you need to. And I was like, well, I need to make a living, and he kind of laughed me out of the office. And then that night I went over to a gay club that they happened to have a drag queen there that was already lip syncing one of my songs.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, okay, that happened fast. And then somebody said, will you get up and interrupt her and sing the song? And I was like, yes, I will.
Of course I will.
And I did. And then that was the thing that got me booked, had me booked from then on out.
And honestly, a lot of people in your career have referred to you as the female drag queen. Kind of did your persona as what your appearance was and your look, did that start out very subtle and then turn into like the loud, boisterous, and like over the top that you do?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely gotten, you know, real draggy up in this piece, you know? Like, I mean, and that's fun. Like, I love that part
Especially when she gets her weave on. That's when it gets nice and
oh, yeah. Like, I love big hair. I'm not doing it today. It's just the interview is day drag. Right. But
this is classy drag. This is daytime class.
This is daytime. I'm running errands, but I'm going to give you a piece, okay? But yeah, of course, I was influenced by what was around me. I was like, oh, these girls are really going the fuck in with these wigs and shit. Like, and that was always kind of a piece of it. But it was never like a huge part. It wasn't crazy to begin with, because I was like, well, I'm a girl. Well, I just want to amplify what's going on here.
Right.
You know, but then when I got backstage, I saw these bitches like putting pads and, you know, putting all of it on, and I was like, well, shit, you know, like, let's do it, you know?
And how is that working with, I mean, working with drag queens, because, I mean, you do it with that constantly, being backstage, kind of what's the dynamic of, obviously they know who you are, but like, what do you see of them being back there with you and getting dressed with you? Do they treat you differently, being basically a real woman doing drag? Do they treat you any differently, or it's pretty much like you're a sister?
I mean, at this point, I think it's pretty much like I'm a sister. Gotcha. I think at first there was a little bit of like, well, what is she doing here? Is, you know, I think the question in their mind was, is this just a pit stop for her? Is she just gonna take this and then move the fuck on and do, you know, do other things
Use
or whatever?
Use this as a stepping stone.
Right, and I was like, no, because I'm here. Like, I want to be with y'all. Like, I've been with the other people that I've performed live with, and it's just not what it is with us backstage.
Exactly.
You know, like, and there's sometimes, you know, there's personality clashes and things, but for the most part, I find like people have always just been very kind and willing to have a good time with me. And,
well, and that's the thing. It's like I've heard a lot of times, and again, this probably isn't true, but I've heard a lot of times drag queens will have very territorial issues with, this is my group, this is my hood, this is my whatever, and you're stepping on my territory in a way of what I'm trying to do with my like performances and all that stuff. Do you ever have those issues, or do you feel it's pretty much you're in your own world of it all, and they're kind of all their own little aspects of it all? Does it seem like a little bit of a silo effect, or do you feel like you blend pretty easily with what they do to what you do?
Well, I mean, here's the thing, is like, I am coming to the table with something that a lot of them have used.
Okay.
So they've used my songs.
Oh, yeah.
They've lip synced them. They've gotten what, you know, they've already received from me before I've even gotten into the dressing room. A lot of them.
Okay.
Because a lot of them have covered my songs.
Well, and just even recently, you were your music was used in Cherry Pop, the movie that just came out, which is all drag queens singing your songs. Right.
And which, you know, and I've never been one to be like, oh, I don't want them to do my songs. Right. You know, I mean, don't do them the night that I'm there. Maybe let me do them if I'm making an appearance. Right. That's nice. But I have had girls, like, bless their hearts, to be like, I want to do your song tonight right before you do it. And I'm like, you need to talk to her because it's not happening, you know? But no, if anything, I feel like there's always been like a reverence. But I will tell you that, you know, the female drag thing to me was always kind of a joke. Like, to call myself that was just an easy explanation of why a straight woman is standing here with all these men dressed in drag.
So it was just more of an explanation, not really, this is who you are.
Yeah, no, it wasn't something, like, I never was like, oh, I'm a bio queen. Like, no, I'm a comedian and I'm a singer and I happen to like wigs. So if you want to call me a female drag queen, fine. And then it turned into like a jokey, like, catchphrase thing, which is fine. And like, all props to my bio queen sisters and like people that want to do drag, and no matter what sex you are, you should be able to play with it. But I've had people ask me before, like, well, I want to do female drag, and I'm like, well, I don't, you know, really know what to tell you as far as like what path to take, because when I leaned into this career, I was coming to the table with something that I was willing to share with them. I wasn't coming to the table just to take from them. Right. And I think that that's the big difference, you know?
And it is. And honestly, the great part about it is you really embrace the community. And like you said, it's this whole love share of this big family that you've kind of built with that. And it is, you're like, you want to use my shit? Great, because it promotes me. I want to help you guys because I love you guys most because you're my girls. Like, so I really see that great I'm not going to say big words. I see that great sisterhood.
Yeah, sisterhood.
I'm not saying big shit today. It's too late. So let's talk a little bit about the whole part of your entertainment career, because you've done a lot. I love the first time I heard you was from your track, which you did with Bitch, I Stole Your Purse, which I love, and also Poop Noodle, which is my favorite, and Fuck Me, because who doesn't want to be fucked? But Poop Noodle was my favorite because it's just like, every gay man understands the quality mishap of dealing with shit on your dick.
Okay.
But the way you do it is so appropriately funny, and I love how you do these things with such tongue-in-cheek and like completely like just fucking it's out there, but it's so legitimate. Like, this is the shit you have to deal with. So what was your initial response from fans and stuff when you kind of put this out there? Were they just like completely shock and awe, or did they just eat it up?
Well, I mean, that's the thing, is I think that what I do is polarizing to people. Like, you either are going to get on board, or you're going to be like, ew, that's gross, she's nasty, I don't want nothing to do with it. And I'm fine with that reaction, you know what I mean? I'm like, whatever camp you're in, just know which one you're in, and don't be mad about it.
Right, exactly. And also, I mean, you got picked up in a sense of your music style and kind of the whole part of your song with NipTuck, where they did a whole spoof on your, for the Gospel According to Coco was the name of the character that they had in NipTuck, and she spoofed a couple, I think it was just the one, Yo Stank. She did a little bit of a spoof for that. What was did they come to you initially and ask you to do it?
No.
So they just kind of took that off and was just like, we're tweaking it based on you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, there was a writer on that show that was a fan, and, you know, they were telling the story of this woman who felt like, you know, she wanted to get a butt implant because she felt like the butt that she had was not
the butt she was
supposed to be born with her, you know, chosen feeling of ethnicity. And so, you know, they did all that, and I was like, well, that's fine that y'all did all that, but you could have called me, Ryan.
Right.
Like, you could have, I would have done the show.
Yeah.
But I don't have the name that
who was it? It was Jennifer Coolidge.
Jennifer Coolidge has, yeah. You know, I don't have that name. And if there was gonna be somebody that was gonna say, hey, who's gonna play me? It's her. She's fucking hilarious.
And
like,
it was a good homage.
It was hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, it really was. But there was a piece of it was just like, you know, I wish the nod would have been a little bit bigger, or that they would have
put something that just said,
audience as like, inspired by Wendy Ho. And I think the maddest I ever got about that whole situation was that she was in an interview with like CNN or something, and they were like, you know, the best character. They were like doing a whole like retrospect on her career, and they're like, the best character was that Hot Cocoa. Who came up with that? And she knew that was my character. Yeah. And she was just, I don't know if she was just on the spot or whatever. She's like, oh, you know, the writers on that show are just so inventive and so blah. And I'm like, see, that was your chance, bitch. You didn't take it. You could have given me credit. But somebody did later on clock her in an interview that was like, hey, what was that whole thing about? Right. And she acknowledged, and she said, oh yeah, that was always meant to be a nod to Wendy Ho. I was like, well, you didn't nod hard enough, girl. That
head needs to touch the floor. Like a meth head on the subway in New York. Touch the floor and come back up and say thank you. But you've toured everywhere. I mean, internationally, nationally. I mean, you've done it all with the Wendy Ho show. And kind of explain, like, because you obviously came from a place of doing comedy and musical theater. Do you usually try to pick when you do a show, when you were initially coming up with the show, picking one or the other, or were you always going to be like a blend of music and performance?
Well, I mean, I'll tell you, like, you know, starting out as an actress, or, you know, in New York, a lot of these things that just happened to me happened because one thing didn't work out, and I just kept on having to try and get up and try again.
Got it.
And, you know, I don't like auditioning. I'm just not a great auditioner.
Yeah.
So that kind of like fell through, and I was like, no, I'm gonna have to write something for myself to do. And, you know, I was always a pretty okay singer. Okay. And always, you know, was drawn towards things that were funny. So that was a natural thing to come together for me, because you gotta work with what you're given. Well, you know what I mean? So yeah, I would always say, in any business that you're in, you try to niche yourself out so that you're different than everybody else. So
Well, if you're going to do something great, do it yourself.
You could, yeah, and so you can corner that market. But, you know, at that time, I wasn't even thinking in that way. I was just like, this is what I'm good at, and this is what I'm focused on.
And so what is your, like, if you had to pick a favorite city that you really like to go and perform at, what would be out of all the places you've been, what would you say is one of your favorite places to go and perform, where you feel like you get a good response from the fans and the crowd?
Well, that changes a lot from year to year, but this year it's New Orleans.
Oh, nice.
I fucking love it down there.
Did you do like Southern Decadence or
No, I haven't done any, like those big festivals sometimes are not like the tea to go to like for performance wise. Like I've gone like twice this year, and my friend Vince Santos puts on shows there. Okay. And I've worked with him, and he's produced both of the shows. I'm getting ready to go again in like a week. Oh, nice. So, yeah, that's been my favorite. Just the flavor down there is just so like witchy and you know.
Well, it's got this great vibe. I mean, there are tons of history down there for sure. But you're right. It's just this fun, kind of really out there vibe from the community.
It's just its really own thing. It is. There is no place else like it.
No, exactly. And it's so beautiful. And I mean, it's hot as fuck.
Yeah, but the thing for me there is really the music.
Yeah, I can agree.
You know, you can jump from club to club and hear live musicians play.
Oh, and you just walk on the streets too, and there's someone out just playing all the time. Especially live jazz, like some like authentic Southern style jazz is beautiful to go and hear. Like you said, it's absolutely amazing. So let's talk a little bit about just yourself personally. I mean, is it really hard to separate doing what you do for your performance, and do you kind of compartmentalize that when you're out working, and then when you're at home, is it more just Wendy chillaxed and like having fun?
Hello. Yes, that is exactly what it is. I mean, there's definitely like a process every time I go that, you know, I go on stage.
Got it.
You know, I definitely feel the need to armor up.
Got it. Okay.
You know, I think the biggest thing that people want when they come and see a live performer is to feel like, okay, I can let them have it because they're unconcerned. And so part of the process for me of, you know, bolstering myself up into that zone is to take care of it, you know? And so, so there's a definite like divide, and when it's over, I take it off and I
put it away in the closet until you need to come back later.
There's two separate closets. There's hers and mine's, and it's.
And so basically when you're at home, it's Wendy Smith. When you're out on time, it's Wendy Ho.
She's always there.
She's always in the background.
She'll tell you. My husband, he's just like, but I mean, that's the thing is like I don't compartmentalize it into like it's not a character that I play. Like this is something that's just a part of me at this point. Got it. You know what I mean? Like I guess you could say it's a character because she doesn't really do all that she does on stage on an everyday basis.
Got it.
No,
but it's still just you.
Still me.
It's still you. Gotcha. Because a lot of times, a lot of drag queens will say you can only call them whatever their name is on stage, their stage name, and then when they're a boy, it's a boy, and it's like they're separate, and they really cut it. So yours is. It's not. It's just this is my fun. This is my personality, and it's just me putting on a little. It's a little extra hair. It's a little extra wigs. A little extra nails. It's a little
extra everything. Yeah, it's a little extra.
So but it's great to know that because a lot of people don't understand sometimes with performers how it's like they think you're all on stage and that's it period, and you're never anything else when you're at home. And for it's true. You are a little bit of both because quite frankly it's a huge part of your personality, which is great to see.
Everybody does it. Everybody navigates that water differently.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Some people do really have to like feel that separation and feel the need to say, I need you to call me this, but my name is Wendy. Yeah. You know, like so. Either way,
it's gonna be
you're gonna talk to me. You know what I mean? So, but there is more than one person that lives here. Yeah. You know?
She has multiple personality disorder, and they all hate you at the beginning. That's how I have to deal with my husband with.
On guard.
But so with working, because your husband's a producer and does he's not. Yes, he is a producer.
No, he's a cinematographer.
Cinematographer. Damn it. He's a cinematographer and actually is out a lot doing stuff with different shows. How do you guys balance kind of work, home life, like again with you being out on tour sometimes, with him being out for filming? How do you guys balance all that together?
Well, we started, he was here and I was in New York, and when we first started seeing one another. It was on the fly. We were meeting, we were rendezvousing,
We were hoteling.
Yes, we were hoteling it, honey. We still love a good hotel.
Because there's a hoe in hotel.
But we're just used to it now. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, and when
it's got a rhythm down.
It does, and I mean, when he's gone for a long time, like I will arrange my travel schedule and going to the clubs that are around there.
Got it.
Book myself there, go see him.
Oh, that's really nice.
And,
okay.
Yeah, I mean that part of the job is nice that I have that much control of where I can go and what I want to do, and reaching out to people and being like, I'm going to be here, so.
So do you guys usually travel together for the most part? Or
no.
It's okay, so it's just only if it works out.
If he's planted somewhere, then I'll go and
Got it.
I'll base myself out of there and do cities within 3 hours of wherever he is.
That's really nice. And then you can just kind of like travel back and forth and actually not miss each other for
and then
weeks.
Stay for a little extended time. But this time I was really back and forth between Bethesda and here, because I have a lot going on here too.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I feel like you do so much around here. Obviously, because LA. I mean, I would see like LA and New York, obviously being big places where you have a ton of fans, but also a ton of places you go around. When did you first start doing stuff with Hamburger Marys? Because that's a big part of what you do out here in West Hollywood. When did you first start doing stuff with them?
It was pretty immediate because I had come out here the year before I moved here. And they had asked me to do bingo.
Okay.
Because I was promoting my one-woman show that I'd done over at Celebration Theater. Okay. That's where I'd started doing like my one-woman show.
Was that Celebration? Okay.
And when I went over and did the bingo thing, they were like, "Oh, well, why don't you come back and like do a song or something to promote the show?" Blah blah blah. And so I started just by promoting my other show.
Okay.
And then gradually over time, like just started to kind of get myself in there. And they started booking me. But it took a while. Like, I mean, there was a difference between me just coming here on a visit. They would book me, for appearances and things.
Okay.
But, when you do move into a new town where everybody already has spots that are taken, it takes a minute to adjust to that. So it did take a minute for me to get to the place where I don't have to leave now.
Gotcha.
I can stay home and I can make a nice living.
Gotcha.
I don't have to be on the road all the time, which is nice.
Yeah.
But, the road work still brings me more money than staying home.
Well, exactly. Well, it makes sense. Well, plus, you have more options out there because it's not just the same stuff over and over.
Yeah, and it's good. It's good to break that up. But I really do love being home. And I do love Mary's, being down, it's just easy. It's just and it's everything about it, like, has been, for me, like a perfect fit of a workplace.
Yeah, and it's a great place to go. And I mean, it's a lot of fun. I mean, all the queens and obviously Wendy are always entertaining, and it's just a blast, especially bingo, because it riots it up.
That's hilarious.
Oh,
the brunches are amazing.
Are really
every time somebody asks me like, well, what gig should I get? Try to get booked. Like, get a brunch, bitch, because they are for real.
It's so funny you say that, because my favorite one was at Mary's when Vicky Vox runs out into Middle Santa Monica Boulevard and is doing her number. She's done it. I've seen her do it there. I've seen her do it on Sunset, and I've seen her do it on Robertson. I've seen that bitch just run into street and stop traffic.
She loves to play traffic.
She does to play traffic. She's like, hit me, bitch. I will hit you back and break your car. But no, I can see the appeal of a Sunday brunch because there is so much more like fun involved.
I don't know what it is. It's not for everybody.
It's the free flowing champagne.
There's a lot of queens that are like, I don't fucks with those brunches.
Right.
But I don't know what it is. But for me, the Saturday and Sunday is a good time.
Right. So let's talk about the main thing that's been what everyone knows about your career is your music, which is so fun and entertaining. Kind of what's your process when you come up with a song or when you come up with an idea for a song? Kind of like walk us through how you kind of get it from like writing it down to actually putting it together and creating a track from that.
Well, it comes and goes in all directions, honestly. Like, there's no formula to any of it. Okay. Sometimes I've come up with ideas at parties where, I definitely, I have my phone, and if something is funny and I think that it needs to turn into a song, I will write it down. It won't be till later that I'll go back and see, is there a full song here? Is there a fully realized idea? Or is this just like something funny to like say once in a while? Right. Or... and so that's kind of how that happens. Nothing that I've ever done gets finished without the help of somebody else.
Okay.
Like, I can't, I have to be held accountable. I have to have support.
Gotcha.
I've worked with the same producer in Brooklyn, Craig Levy at Little Pioneer.
Okay.
studio. Actually, he's in New York. He moved to New York now. He's in Manhattan. But I've worked with him since 2008. Yeah, okay. Before I even had a gig at Wendy Ho, you know.
Because that originally started, like you said, like 2010, 2011.
That's when it started popping. Yeah. That's when it started popping. Okay. But you know, it's always been a thing where I'll have somebody to work with as a sounding board, you know. Okay. And so he's definitely been one of my partners. My husband has been one of my partners in doing my videos and stuff.
Right. With actual putting out. Yeah, I remember seeing that in an interview that he helps you out a lot.
He does. Like, I mean, he directed Poop Noodle. He directed the Fuck Me video. Yes, I'm a Ho.
Yeah.
So that stuff, you know, and and a lot of it will just be with friends, you know, that will say something and we'll be like, oh, and I know it will really be fleshed out into something if we go back and forth on it a couple times.
Gotcha. And I know you do a lot of this stuff at some of your performances that you do at some of the gigs where you'll have the audience give you like word suggestions for something. They give you an overall kind of like, oh, well, this is the scene, and then you come up with something on the spot. Has any of those ever turned into a song before?
Well, I don't do that.
Okay.
I don't hand it over to the audience like that. When you come to my show, you're on my ride. I'm not taking your suggestions. You're not going to get to take the mic.
Okay.
You're not,
I know that.
That's not at my show.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there are people that are trained to do that here in Los Angeles. Okay. They're very good at it. And that if you want to go play those games with those people and give them the suggestions, fine, you know, but I don't.
Your stuff is just like, it's mine. I don't audience control, no.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when there's a gift in the audience that needs to be, you know, that needs to be expressed and, you know, brought out more, then I will hit on that, you know, and I'll talk to the audience. And I do, you know, my bit where I steal purses. Right. And that whole thing is, it definitely adds an improv element, but I'm not going to ever stop the show and be like, does anybody have a suggestion of what I should do right now?
Gotcha.
Because I am controlling in that way of my show.
Well, it's good too, because then you don't have to worry with their bullshit.
I've had people try to do that shit before,
really?
though, like at the show, where they like yell out something and I'm like, oh girl, I didn't realize we were suddenly at an improv show.
Right.
Like, what is...
what is going on here? But I mean, when you do, so your creative process is very kind of like you said, it's a lot of people involved. Do you have, like, when you're creating an album, like, kind of like, okay, I'm going to do X number of songs, or do you kind of like, they start building up, you're like, oh, okay, so I should put these all together as a collective album?
Well, baby, I'll tell you the truth. The business has changed so much of, you know, making and selling music that, you know, I don't really work on albums anymore. Okay.
Because it's better to just put them out, like an EP.
Put a single out, put an EP out, you know, see how it does. Because, you know, when you invest in a whole album and the people listen to the one or two single and then they decide, I'm not going to listen to the whole album anyways, then you put something out that you put your blood, you put your blood, sweat, and your shirt. And that's what is funny about this stuff with the Cherry Pop movie, is that the songs that are in that movie are original songs.
Yeah.
And I'm mostly known for doing my parodies at the bars and performances and stuff. But these are original songs from an album called Yes, I'm a Ho that was 2011. Yeah. It came out, and nobody cared about it.
Oh, wow.
You know, nobody wanted to hear me do things that weren't like
dirty.
They're all dirty songs. I mean, I can't afford it, and we have to abort it. It's a dirty song.
Which is true.
It's in the movie. But, you know, nobody really cared about this album, and you really you have got to have a machine behind you to make people care about an album. I don't have that.
Right.
And so the gift that has come from this movie now is that, you know, these songs that was never going to use for anything are now being used, and people are like, oh my God, I love this song, it's so bad, you know, and I'm just like, well, it's been sitting here for 7 years, bitch, and I'm glad you like it now.
And so, is there any time you're ever like, when you put, because I mean, I have heard a lot of artists say that because they're starting to move toward this more putting out these individual singles or putting out these ones that they're trying to like, oh, let me test the waters with this, and maybe I'll do another one similar to kind of build up a rapport. But when you do the videos, is there any kind of goal you have in mind with putting them out there of saying, oh my God, I want to do this one that's like with Poop Noodle and Fuck Me? Was there ever like, I'm putting these out there to try and make a splash, or was it I'm just adding to the already what I've done with the music by itself?
Well, I mean, I think we all hope when we, you know, put forth effort into something, which, you know, videos are a huge undertaking.
Yeah.
Like, you know, to get them produced for 3.5 minutes, you know, it's a lot. So yeah, the hope is that, this will go viral.
Right.
This will amp up the thing. But, you know, in this day and age, I just don't think that I've heard too many stories where it's just that one thing that just tips you over and it just sustains you for the next 20 years. You know what I mean? It's always been a lot of little things. And, you know, I really look up to RuPaul a lot in that way.
Oh, yeah.
That, you know, she, no matter what, even though she's got a very successful TV show, she's still putting out albums.
Yeah.
She's got a podcast.
Yeah.
She's still...
Well, now she's producing other stuff like Skin Wars. She's doing the Trixie and Katya show.
Yep.
She's doing all these other things. You're right. It's all these things in concert that kind of build her up.
And continue to put her name out there and to continue to, you know, propagate and diversify her business. And that's the deal. You know, I mean, that's a good business person.
Right. And I actually kind of wanted to... Glad you brought up RuPaul. I'd love to talk to you a little about your thoughts and opinions on Drag Race and everything with that. Because I hear mixed feelings from drag queens where they say they have to be on Drag Race in order to launch their career and launch who they are as a performer. And others that say, I don't need it. I'm good as I am. All I need to be. I don't need that to kind of put that. What from just a little bit, because you work with these queens like daily, every time. And so what do you see as your perspective of what Drag Race has done to the drag community, just from your point of view?
Well, I think that it's helped it.
Yeah.
Honestly, that it's, you know, it's given the art form a validity that wasn't there before. Because when I first started working in drag bars, you know, especially a lot of them that were on the road, drag was not something that was cool. It was not considered art. It was considered something that you did kind of, you know, on the side for the tips, to feed your drug habit or whatever, you know, I mean.
Gotta pay that coke dealer.
That's kind of, you know, the vibe that I got from a lot of the queens that I met when I first started. And now, like, it's really, you know, gone mainstream and seen as something that people really respect. They like, they love the makeup, they love the artistry that actually goes into that, and it's good. But, you know, every time something goes mainstream, it's gonna pick up things that are negative about it as well, you know.
And I agree, and it's hard to, because you're right. I mean, it has given it, like you said, a validity that really was never there before, especially within the last like 10 years. That everyone's like obsessed with
and a
drag.
Respect and understanding too that, like, you know, there's a difference between being a drag queen and being this crazy over the top performer and being someone that wants to live their lives as a woman, as a transgender
Which
person.
Some of them have turned
and some of them have done that as well, but it's not the same thing. And I think a lot of people, you know, especially like my grandmother and like, you know, my great aunts and stuff, like always thought, well, do they do that because there's some sort of sexual satisfaction in it, or that they want to? And sometimes they do. Sometimes they do, and like, and these are all like case by case basis. Right. But for the most part, like what I've encountered is like, no, these are artists. Yeah. Who this is the canvas. Right. And this is what they do, and so that part of it, you know, the respect and understanding is there. Yeah. That's awesome, you know. Right. But, you know, also in this day and age, it has made things a little bit more competitive. Right. You know, there are people at the top that get more than people that work the same amount of hours, if not more, at the bottom. But that's business. Right. No, and it's true. And I agree with like a lot of that, because it is, I mean, it has given it so much actual understanding to individuals that never really understood the concept of what drag was. Right. And like you're right, there's so many different flavors of it. The only thing I hate about this last season is the fact that everyone's already got their social media together. They've already got their look. They've already got their... It's way too structured now, I feel, than what it was before. Because before, they would cut a bitch. I miss the times with, like, Sharon Needles and Fifi O'Hara yelling at each other. Those first, like 5, 6 seasons I love the drama. Everything. And, you know, and now, like, everything. Like, it just... As the seasons progress, you know, you start to see the structure and, you know, the machine that it truly is. It really is. And it's, you know, it's a powerful machine. And, you know, you would be hard pressed to find anybody that hadn't been on the show that hadn't benefited it in some way. I agree. But also, you know, there are those people that, you know, don't benefit as much or can't find their place or, you know, all of those things. But, you know, you can always rely on those excuses for as to why things didn't work out the way that you wanted them to.
And it's so funny how many times consistently there will be someone that wasn't even the winner get so much more respect, adoration.
Look at Trixie and Katya. I mean, they're not winners of the show, but they have their own TV show now. They have a huge following, you know, and that was a platform for them, you know, to springboard off of, and you know.
And it was great, and honestly, it was so smart of them getting on World of Wonder, doing their YouTube show, which really just launched them to, because it gave everyone, because they wanted to know, because Katya's hilarious, Trixie is a smartass, and they love that dynamic together, because on the show they were so cutesy together, and then when they put them on the YouTube thing, people ate it up. Right. Because it was perfect. And it's like Morgan McMichaels, who was never a huge winner, but she does so much stuff around here. Raven, Raja won, but like a lot of these queens, especially here locally, will do so much stuff. Adore, her career's super launched forward, even though she was top 3, but she still does so much stuff than a lot of the other queens that do. So you're right, it's very interesting to see the dynamics of, it does help, it does kind of really put some of these things forward.
It does, but I will not stand behind the, you know, notion that the only way to make it is through RuPaul's Drag Race.
Exactly.
It's not the only way to make it.
And I don't like what I don't like is the attitude some of these younger queens are getting, where they're like, oh, I can just do this and I'll be famous, and a lot of the older queens are like, hey, I have worked my ass off for 10, 15 years.
But there's always going to be that. The baby queens are always going to think that they can buck the system in some way, or jump the line, and you know, you might, but honey, it will come back around and get you in some way, shape, or form. Like everybody pays their dues.
Exactly, and
Everyone
they need to.
does.
And honestly, you become a better performer because of that. And you've done it, and you worked hard at it, and it shows in your art and what you do.
And when it doesn't, you know, you have to take responsibility for that too. You know,
exactly. And then I honestly feel a lot of these older queens know how to make it work, and it's the reason they succeed is because they've been through that, they've learned from their mistakes, and they've made better because of it. And it's the proofs in what they get as these music and stuff. Like, Lady Bunny's still around even though she's older than God, because she knows how to make it work. Same thing with Jackie B, Coco Peru,
well, her relationships too, you know.
Yeah.
I think that
it's who you know for sure.
I think a lot of these girls too is that, you know, they go on the show and then they get these managers, and the managers will kind of pimp them out for like these exorbitant amounts, and that's not always the best thing to do, because they'll have you once and then they will not have you back again.
Exactly.
You know, rather than, you know, oh, you have this manager that takes care of that for you. Well, that's fine, but what about 5 years down the line when you want to go back and work this club?
Exactly.
And you don't have that manager anymore? Who are you going to call?
Yeah.
Because you don't know, because you didn't make the relationship for yourself, you know? Yeah, so, yeah, it's, there's pluses and minuses to everything, I mean.
And so what would be your favorite part out of this entire experience being a musician? What would you say would be the best thing you love about it, and then maybe what was one of either the biggest, not necessarily hurdles, but what was the biggest things you had to overcome in order to really get to where you were as a performer today?
Well, I think the biggest thing to overcome is just always fear and self-doubt.
Gotcha.
That you're just not going to be able to, like, do it.
Okay.
You know? And I think there was a lot of that in the beginning. I can remember when I was given my first show, that I would just lay there in my bed and just be like, oh my fucking God, I can't believe I'm going to have to. I have said yes. I'm going to get on stage in front of people and say things and sing things. And this is what I said yes to. You know? And so there was a lot of that to overcome. And then also just really accepting that, you know, patience is a part of the game, and that failure is a part of the game, and that all of those things, as you continue to go along, help you out, you know. So and you know, the best part about it has just been working with all of my friends, you know, continuing to work with people that I love. Like when I go in, I don't feel like when I go into the office, I'm like, oh, I gotta go see Denise today. Like, no, I don't feel, I'm like, oh, I'll see my sister. I know she's gonna have some shit to say. Like, I know that she's going to. So we have the blast backstage.
So
always,
that sounds so much fun when you get to do that, and it's more of a family. You're seeing your friends.
It is
it's fun.
Honey, I can't depend on the audience. I can't trust y'all to like give me it every time. I certainly can't. I mean, there are good shows and bad shows, and you know, I have bad days too. Mine happen to be in public. You know,
mine happen to be in public.
Yeah, like I mean, if you have a bad day at work, in my job, in my field, like everybody sees it, everybody knows it, and so thank God, backstage, I'm like, oh. bitch, I am not in it today. And they're like, girl, I know, I've been there. I am too. You know, I mean, just...
And it's great that they can all relate. And I think that's what's great when you get like people that know and they've been there, done that, all of it as well, right along with you.
Yeah, and I think it's really sad when I see people that, you know, have decided to kind of walk the lone wolf
which is so stupid.
And the diva path. Or what they think is like, well, I'm better than everyone, and I've arrived, and it's just like, well, girl, good luck doing it on your own, because, like I said, nothing I've ever accomplished has been completely on my own.
Rhymes with ballerina, but I'm not going to say who. But what would you say is one piece of advice you could either give to someone just starting out in this career, or to yourself 8-9 years ago when you first started out this? What would be one piece of advice you could give that says, do this first, or make sure you take care of this first so that you can actually have a smoother transition into what you want to do?
Well, I just don't think that you can have a smoother transition. Sorry.
Don't take yourself so seriously.
Sorry, bitch. My main thing would just be trust your struggle.
Gotcha.
Just trust it. You know, like trust that the things that, you know, you come up against, you know,
what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Rejection is truly God's protection. I have seen it time and time again where like something didn't work out and then I saw it later and I was like, thank you, it was not supposed to work out, you know. And there have been disappointments where I was just like, I really thought that was for me.
And then you find out like, oh, thank God it was not there.
Thank God it wasn't for me, you know. And so that I really do believe that, you know, and
everything happens for a reason.
Everything does happen for a reason, and it's a tough business, and don't be afraid to fail. You know, because failure is part of it. It's part of the learning process.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, honestly, it's the truest part. Don't take yourself so seriously. I love that you said that. It's just like, trust in the rejection, because it's probably better for you in the long run. Trust your
struggle. Yeah. Everybody has them. Don't think you're alone. Everybody has struggles.
No, that's really great. And it's also, it's everything we should all pay attention to. I mean, shit happens, and it probably happens for a reason, because the universe wants you to learn something somewhere. But
so listen to the lesson.
So listen, bitch. But we want to thank you so much for being here today and really just sharing your experiences with everything. If you haven't seen anything with Wendy Ho, you can always check it out on the lower third half there. It's basically at Wendy Ho for Facebook, and then Wendy Experience on YouTube. I mean, on Instagram and Twitter. And then just look her up on YouTube. Fuck, because everything's on there. Google it. Seriously, Google it and you'll find it. It's I think it's Wendy, the WendyExperience.net or .com.
It's Wendy Experience.
WendyExperience.com. So you go there and check out all her stuff online. Everything's there. If you want to buy merch, if you want to check her out, see where she's gigs are gonna be at, you can always find her there. I want to thank you so much for being here and really sharing everything with us. And thank you to the amazing producers we have for GayLifeLA.com, and then also our hosts for Kings Road Apartments. We want to thank them as well for all they do. So we'll check you guys out next week, and we're super excited to have Sean. He's a local performer out here, so we're really excited to have him with that. And tune in next week. So thank you guys for saying bye. Bye.